What happens when you mix friendship and large amounts of money? Does friendship or the money rooted in evil prevail? In the case of Taylor Wright, it would be a fusion of deceit, greed, and premeditated murder that would triumph. Taylor Wright, previously known as Taylor Turcotte, was born on April 23, 1984 in South Carolina. It is unclear who Taylor's birth parents were, as she was removed from her home by the Department of Children and Family Services during her adolescent years. She then ended up in a group foster home, which she quickly grew to detest. Taylor confided in John Murchison, a school friend, and told him about the hell she experienced in the group home and her plans of running away. John was understandably concerned about his friend, especially knowing the kind of trouble kids got into when left to fend for themselves and have the streets raise them. He told his mom about her situation and brought up the idea of inviting Taylor to stay with them. Nancy Murchison had always dreamed of having a baby girl, yet she was instead blessed with the births of 2 boys. When she heard about the young girl's horrid circumstance and the life she sadly endured thus far, she swiftly paid a visit to the group home and met with the director. She then took Taylor in as her foster daughter, and the rest was history. Nancy referred to Taylor as her gift from God and was ecstatic to finally have the girl she always wished for. Taylor now had a loving home and was able to flourish in her studies, eventually graduating high school and going on to obtain a degree in criminal justice. One would think someone who dealt with the poor authority within the Department of Children and Family Services and within a group home would stray away from a life in law and authority, but not Taylor. She thrived in this atmosphere, so much so that she decided to enter the police academy in Jacksonville, North Carolina. She was sworn in and became an official member of law enforcement in early 2008 for the Jacksonville Police Department, where she served until 2013. Her quick-witted skills and love for the job led Taylor to land the role of private investigator, a true testimony of her law enforcement expertise and devotion to the profession. In the midst of crime and police work, Taylor found love with a man named Jeff in the fall of 2003. The couple married in 2006 and had 1 son, Drake, in 2010. Husband Jeffrey David Wright was born on April 17, 1981. He too had a hand in the realm of law, working for the prestigious U.S. Department of Defense. Unfortunately, the crime fighters found themselves experiencing some marital strife, causing them to go through a rocky and lawless divorce, roughly 10 years into their marriage. Not only was the duo battling out a nasty divorce, they also found themselves in a strenuous custody battle over Drake. Though Taylor loved her son and was described as a good mother by friends and family, she woefully lost the initial fight for custodial custody to estranged husband Jeff. As a result of losing custody, she was obliged to begin making child support payments. Taylor immediately appealed both the custody decision and the order to pay child support. In the thick of this uproarious battle, Taylor thought it would be a good idea to wipe out the bank account she shared with her husband on July 12, 2017. Perhaps it was vengeance that led to this doltish decision, or perhaps it was a tactic to throw off the courts and win back her son. Whatever the reasoning, this decision to remove $100,000 from their shared account triggered the events that would result in her sudden and wretched murder. Though going through a depressive episode and not knowing if her appeals would stand in the court of law, she found love again, this time in a woman named Cassandra. She met public school administrator Cassandra Waller via an online dating app, and the two hit it off right away and began a relationship when Taylor moved to Florida. Cassandra proved to be a place of solace for frazzled Taylor, while she continued her legal fight with Jeff. Shortly after their relationship began, confident enough in the way things were progressing between the two, Cassandra asked Taylor to move in with her. She happily agreed and began moving her things into the house little by little, though her life would be taken before she had a chance to complete her move. It was around this time the courts became aware of Taylor's huge bank withdrawal and let it be known it was a violation of her agreement with ex-husband Jeff. If she did not return the money into an appointed escrow account, a warrant would be put out for her arrest, making her plea to win back custody of young Drake even more difficult. Records do not indicate what was done with the vast majority of the money withdrawn. However, a $32,000 check was given to friend and colleague Ashley MacArthur to hide the funds. Other reports allege that an additional $15,000 in cash was given to Ashley along with the check. Ashley MacArthur, who was born on August 22, 1977, worked as a crime scene technician. She was experiencing her own financial struggles and was not the confidant Taylor believed she was. Once the court caught wind of the missing money, Taylor, in fear of her being persecuted, reached out to Ashley to have the money returned. However, anytime the two were supposed to meet up, Ashley would find excuses or cancel at the last moment. Taylor had a scheduled court date for September 7, 2017, but failed to appear as she did not have the money to surrender. The court adjourned to a few days later on September 12, 2017, though she would never make it to that court date either. Getting nervous about what could happen to her and her already strained relationship with her son, she insisted that Ashley stop making excuses and meet up to recover the funds. Text messages later revealed showed a desperate Taylor pleading with Ashley on September 7, 2017. "Please don't be late. They are going to put me in jail if I don't make this deposit. We only have 2 more hours to get to the bank. You almost ready?" Ashley never showed, but reluctantly agreed to meet at Cassandra's home the next day, on the morning of September 8, 2017. Ashley arrived at the home around 9 a.m. as Cassandra was leaving. Cassandra said her goodbyes to Taylor before walking to her car at the end of the driveway, not knowing it would be the last time she'd see her alive. It would be about 1 month from this time before investigators, who had been retracing Taylor's steps from that fateful day, would find her remains. They first came upon a human skull with an apparent bullet hole. The skull was recovered underneath some potting soil and concrete in a farm where her cell phone had pinged on the day of her disappearance. They had also extracted a body from the same rubble, which had a necklace that matched a photo of Taylor given to detectives for the purpose of identification. But how did Taylor end up here, with a bullet in her skull, buried in a farm nowhere near her home, nor the bank she was supposed to go to retrieve her money? How does a law enforcement personnel, who is trained to deal with dangerous situations, get murdered in cold blood? It was obvious, without going into many details because it is still being investigated. The remains had been there for a period of time, and they were mostly skeletonized by the time the body was found, Assistant State Attorney Greg Marcil said. Prior to finding Taylor's remains, loved ones remained worried and made speculations as to what was going on. "I'm devastated," Taylor's foster mom Nancy Murchison said. "I need answers. I want to understand. Something had to have happened. She would not have taken off, and so someone had done something horrible to her." She has a little boy. His name is Drake. He's with his dad, but she was texting him every day. They would text back and forth. She hasn't communicated with anyone. All of her friends, all of her family, we're all just puzzled on what has happened to her. She came and spent a couple of days. We had some very nice conversations and she was calm, seemed to be content and happy for the first time in a while. She has been going through a lot of stress from her divorce. My gut tells me that this is not normal behavior, that she wouldn't do this, and that something bad has happened to her and that someone else is involved in her missing. It was on September 8, 2017, around 11 a.m., when Taylor stopped answering Cassandra's text messages, which was extremely peculiar behavior for her. Knowing that Ashley was the last person to have been with Taylor, Cassandra reached out to her for an explanation. Ashley advised her that Taylor was uncontrollably crying and stressed throughout their entire time together, and told her she needed some time to herself to figure things out. According to Ashley, the two went to pick up the check and cash from a safety deposit box at Wells Fargo Bank when Taylor began to express her continued stress about the court case and moving in with Cassandra. To help ease some of her worries, Ashley told Cassandra instead of going directly to the bank, they stopped at a convenience store at around 10 in the morning and purchased Taylor some beer. They then visited East Milton Horse Farm, one of her family's properties, to ride horses and get away from reality for a bit. "So we just drove out there, and she was just blowing off steam, I guess, and drinking beer. We were just hanging out. She was a strange girl," stated Ashley to authorities in later interviews. She then claimed the two went to the bank as originally planned and then back to her house, where Taylor decided she did not want to go back home to Cassandra. She put her money in a duffel bag and ordered an Uber to take her to a bar to continue to drown her sorrows. Ashley said she was fine. She just said that she wanted to go have a beer and that she was going to get an Uber to take her to go have a beer. She alleges this was the last time she saw Taylor. Cassandra was still worried, despite Ashley's accounts of how the day went, but it wasn't until she didn't show up for their dinner plans that she truly became suspicious of her actual whereabouts. She knew Taylor, due to her law enforcement skills and experience, had the ability to disappear without leaving a trace, but it didn't seem to make sense based on recent conversations and where they were at in their relationship. "I don't have any clue what's going on. I just know that something's not right. I was scared," said Cassandra. She then received a text around 7 p.m. from Taylor's phone that read, "I'll call you later. I'm not angry with you and I should have called, but I just needed to think. I'm trying to get my life organized and on track." Though she was initially happy to finally hear from her, she was wary of the text, as it did not sound like something she would say. She begged her to come home, but to no avail. Around midnight, Ashley sent her a screenshot of a text, supposedly from Taylor, that said Court and Cassandra were stressing her out. But Cassandra knew that she was not the cause of any stress, as they were just beginning a new journey in their lives together. It was not just Cassandra who became concerned about Taylor. Taylor's son Drake had also been trying to get in contact with his mother, but received no replies. Regardless of what Taylor was going through at any given moment, she never rejected her son's calls or ignored his texts. This was completely out of character for her, so Cassandra decided to alert authorities. Upon going to the police station, they brushed off her worries and told her to contact ex-husband Jeff. They believed she may have left for North Carolina to be with her son. When Cassandra reached out to Jeff, he too said that he had not heard from Taylor. The last time he saw Taylor was when she traveled to Jacksonville, North Carolina, to visit Drake on August 13, 2017. He had tried and failed to get in touch with her after his son made it known that she was not replying, which was odd. With nowhere else to turn, Cassandra decided to check in with hospitals in the area, thinking she may have gotten into an accident or some type of trouble, as Ashley told her she had a duffel bag full of money and had gone on to drink at a bar. By the end of the week, and still no word from Taylor, she was at her wit's end and made her way back to the police station. They took Cassandra more seriously this time around and opened a missing persons case. They immediately reached out to Ashley, who was the last known person to see Taylor. Ashley again reiterated that Taylor showed signs of extreme despair, and she believed she took the money and ran in order to avoid legal trouble and get away from Cassandra. Ashley told authorities, "I don't believe Taylor's been harmed. I think Taylor is doing what Taylor does, but I don't know, you know. She's always come across as being tough. She's always carrying weapons, whether it's knives or guns or whatever. She's not an easy target." Detectives ruled out Ashley as a suspect, though kept her on the back burner as a person of interest. They then moved suspicions onto Jeff, as they were made aware of the contentious legal tussle they were going through. Jeff, who had since remarried, told detectives he was out of town during the time of her disappearance. His alibi quickly checked out, and investigators turned their attention back to Ashley. Phone records from both Ashley and Taylor were retrieved, and they noticed the cell phone pings did not match with the story Ashley told Cassandra and detectives. While they did visit one of Ashley's family properties, it was not the horse farm as originally reported, but a farm on Britt Road near Beulah Road, where Taylor's body had been found. They also found that Ashley never had a safety deposit box at Wells Fargo, or any bank for that matter. Uber was also contacted, and Taylor's account had not been used in months. The duffel bag she claimed Taylor used to store her money was later found by Cassandra in her home, along with the weapon she claimed she always carried. Ashley's husband Zach had also been questioned, and it was discovered due to his wife having extramarital affairs. He installed a tracking device on her vehicle. GPS records showed Ashley's entire ordeal of how the day went was completely false. Surveillance cameras were also reviewed at the various stops Ashley made for the day. Surveillance footage from one store showed her purchasing soil and concrete, which is what Taylor was coincidentally buried underneath. For 42 days, Ashley had lied over and over again to Taylor's family, friends, girlfriend, and to detectives. Ashley never admitted guilt to the murder of her best friend and colleague, though the evidence against her was insurmountable. She was arrested and charged with first-degree murder in late October 2017. Her trial did not commence until 2 years later in 2019, where several acquaintances of both parties testified. One local bartender and friend of Ashley, Audrey Warren, admitted to authorities that Ashley had indeed been brainstorming on how to murder Taylor the evening before she disappeared. She claimed, "She said that she was going to put cocaine in Taylor's beer. She said that she put it in her beer, but Taylor spit it out because she said it tasted sour." Another friend, Audrey Wheeler, stated Ashley told her, "She said this world would be better if Taylor wasn't here, and she wasn't a good person. She then said that she was too small to hurt anybody, so she'd just shoot them." Ashley's lover, Brandon Beatty, was also tracked down for the trial, where he testified that not only had Ashley used the money Taylor entrusted her with to pay off her credit card debts, she also used the money to fund his business and hobbies. After a brief 4-day trial, the jurors began deliberations on Friday, October 30th, 2019 around 11 a.m. and returned with their verdict just 3 hours later. The jury found Ashley MacArthur guilty of first-degree premeditated murder with a firearm. Ashley was sentenced to a mandatory minimum life term in prison. She did not believe that this punishment was fair, as the text messages, phone records, and character witness statements used as evidence should not have been allowed to be used against her. After going through much red tape and finally getting her appeal to be heard, once again in April 2021, the Florida First District Court of Appeal maintained that she was guilty and deserving of her conviction and life sentence. Taylor's mom, Nancy, commented on the case and verdict. "Taylor was a great mother, really loved her. She loved her family and her brothers, and she loved me. Ashley's a horrible, evil person, and quite frankly, I hope she rots in hell." Cassandra also made statements. "Family, friends, and myself are grieving the loss of Taylor. Taylor was outgoing and kind to anyone she met and knew. She was compassionate, charismatic, funny, and so much more. She made everyone smile wherever she went. When you first met her, she made you feel like she's known you your entire life, or I'm sure you had at least one commonality. Taylor was just there for so many over her lifetime in a plethora of ways. Her heart was one of the biggest I have ever seen someone have, one of the many reasons why she was loved so much. Some say friends are one of the most valuable assets we can obtain in a lifetime. But what happens when so-called friends have ulterior motives? What happens when friends take advantage during one of the most difficult periods of your life? What happens when they choose to betray you and steal from you? Unfortunately for Taylor Wright, that answer was death and destruction. Ashley spent that money on herself and her extramarital lover, not caring what that would mean for Taylor or even her son. Perhaps she didn't think she'd ask for the money back so soon, or perhaps the plan was to kill her all along.